The Three Lions found out this week that they will be paired with Belgium, Panama and Tunisia in Group G for next summer's World Cup, and we may now know the country's kits for the tournament. More Man City fights back to take down pesky West Ham. FootyHeadlines revealed leaked versions of the home and away kits for the 2018 World Cup on Friday, as England prepares for their trip to Russia in 6 months' time. England's traditional white home jersey appears to be similar to its past kit designs, while the shorts are navy blue with red numbers. Meanwhile, the red kit features a subtle St. George's cross donned across the front of the jersey, while the white shorts also have red numbers. Gareth Southgate's side will begin play on June 18, 2018 when they take on African side Tunisia, before facing Panama on June 24 and Belgium to close out group play on June 28. Follow at Madrid Football. The U.S. men's national team will be active next summer, but only in friendly matches. The French Football Federation announced that Les Bleus will play a series of friendly matches in the run-up to the 2018 World Cup in Russia, with the final warm-up match against the USMNT in Lyon on June 9. Follow all of PST's place coverage. France will also play friendlies against Colombia and Russia before confirming its 23-man World Cup roster, followed by a friendly against Italy and then the match against the US. Les Bleus has Peru, Australia and Denmark in its group, so it's unclear why exactly they've scheduled the USMNT as a final tune-up, but it should be a great test for what will likely be a young US side against a World Cup squad. With the CONCACAF Nations League coming, this may be one of the few chances for the US to test itself against a European power, so hope the USMNT players will be able to learn more about themselves and see the level they need to reach in this friendly, before beginning their summer vacations or heading back to their Major League Soccer clubs. If Alan Pardew is going to lead West Bromwich Albion to Premier League safety, he'll need all of his stars. One of those is defender Jonny Evans, who's become the Baggies' backbone since arriving from Manchester United and has earned the eyes of bigger club in England. More key Manchester derby battles. Evans was linked with Arsenal and Manchester City this summer, and Pardew is concerned about what January will bring as both clubs and Liverpool aim to improve their backlines. From Sky Sports, I'm never confident when you've got great players because other clubs want great players, so your best players are always vulnerable. Jonny Evans is definitely one of them and he is our captain. Do I want to lose him? Of course not. Do I fear losing him? Of course I do. Do you think Evans could be sold in January? The 29-year-old Northern Irish back is a prime age for a centre-back and would surely love to return to European competition. The Baggies are at lowly Swansea on Saturday for what already feels like a proper relegation six-pointer. Follow at Nicolas Mendola. There's no shortage of table drama this weekend in the Premier League. More Coutinho unsure about future. Many will have their eyes trained on derbies in London, Manchester, and Liverpool, but there's a tilt with major implications for two of the early season's underdog darlings as well. Let's get into it. Manchester Derby Storyline 1. Can Pep shake mini-slump? Manchester United vs. Man City, 11:30 a.m. ET Sunday on NBCSN. Watch at NBCSports.com. The end of Man City's 22-match unbeaten season run isn't a huge concern for Pep Guardiola, whose men had a B-side on the pitch for Wednesday's 2-1 loss at desperate Shakhtar Donetsk. But Man City needed late drama to beat Southampton and West Ham, both at home, in its last two Premier League contests. The derby won't see City stumble out of the gate, but, as silly as this might, Pep's men could use a return to 90-minute form at Old Trafford. Manchester Derby Storyline 2. Is Pogba absence a bridge too far? Manchester United vs. Man City, 11:30 a.m. ET Sunday on NBCSN. Watch at NBCSports.com. Manchester United is his 7W1D in the Premier League with Paul Pogba this season, and just 4W1D2L without him. Granted, the schedule was tougher during Pogba's absence with a thigh injury, but the Red Devils have also scored multiple goals in all but one of the matches in which he's been in the starting 11. Man City was able to rest a wealth of its stars on Wednesday in the UEFA Champions League, and Sunday's derby is a tall United-esque even at Old Trafford. What's Big Sam's derby plan? Liverpool vs. Everton, 9:15 a.m. ET Sunday on NBCSN. Watch at NBCSports.com. While Liverpool walloped Spartak Moscow to clinch a spot in the UEFA Champions League knockout rounds, Everton boss Sam Allardyce could hand debuts to as many as 8 youngsters when the already eliminated Toffees meet Apollon Limassol in Cyprus. So, we know Big Sam will have his top men rested and ready for the Merseyside derby, but how will his leaky defence stop the Reds in his first true test as Everton boss? Midnight for Cinderella at Turf Moor? Burnley vs. Watford, 10 a.m. ET Saturday on NBC Sports Gold. Watch at NBCSports.com. Both Sean Dyche and Marco Silva are the leading candidates for Manager of the Year with respect to Pep Guardiola's big success with a much larger budget. Now the two overachieving managers meet at Turf Moor in what feels like a must-win for either side's unlikely top 7 hopes. Burnley has a 3-point lead on Watford, but both sides would be forgiven for noticing hard-charging Leicester City and Everton. Follow at Nicolas Mendola. Paul Pogba's suspension has changed the dynamic of Sunday's huge Manchester derby at Old Trafford. The tantalizing concept of a duel between Pogba and Kevin De Bruyne has been stripped from the top 2 tilt, leaving Jose Mourinho likely to resort to defensive-first tactics in a bid to close the table gap to 5 points by handing Man City its first league loss of the season. More Champions League favourites. It was never going to be easy, and City was able to rest many of its top players at midweek while United mathematically needed its result to clinch a spot in the UEFA Champions League knockout rounds. Sergio Aguero and/or Gabriel Jesus vs. United centre-backs. There's a question whether City's all-time leading scorer will play against Manchester United, though his days of dominating the derby go back in time. Aguero scored 6 goals in 4 Manchester derbies, culminating with a brace to finish the 201,415 season, but an injury, a suspension, and 2 shutouts mean he hasn't scored against United since then. United has allowed a Premier League best 9 goals this season, 1 fewer than second-best City. Romelu Lukaku versus himself. Manchester United's 8-goal striker has not been able to escape criticism of his record against the top teams in Europe, and Sunday provides a huge chance to shut up his critics. Sure, he scored against Real Madrid in the Super Cup, but he has been kept off the scoresheet this season against Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool. He posted a critical assist against Spurs. It seems odd to say, but City could provide some comfort to Lukaku. The 24-year-old Belgian scored against City twice last season for Everton in an 11 draw at City and a 40 win at Goodison Park. Dominant De Gea versus everyone but Ederson. Manchester United's incredible Spanish keeper conspired with a trio of Arsenal defensive flubs to pick up a 31 win over the Gunners last weekend, but De Gea was the primary reason for the win, including a remarkable double save. De Gea allowed a pair of goals to City at Old Trafford last season before posting a clean sheet at the Etihad Stadium, and he'll be dealing with Leroy Sane, and Kevin De Bruyne, and Raheem Sterling, and on, and on, and on. Bonus: what happens out wide? Antonio Valencia and Ashley Young have been very good for Mourinho, and have plenty of derby experience. Kyle Walker is no shrinking violet, either, and the battles to send in crosses could make as much of a difference as the incisive ideas in the middle of the park. Follow at Nicolas Mendola.